fly we're going to tie is a JJ Special. Put a little bit of a variation in it that I tend to kind of do that a little bit.
You're kind of a variation kind of guy.
Yeah, a little bit of variation is always good.
Well,
I've got some Gouda Broad. This is actually 6/0 Gouda Broad in black. And I'll use that for a thread. I'm going to start up here at the front. Make a little bit of a base of this stuff. And I think I'm going to tie in.
You can do this one with dumbbell eyes or
with the dumbbell eyes first.
Yeah, that base layer makes a huge difference in not having them twist around or spin on you. Gives it a little texture.
To keep these guys in place, we're going to put a little dab of cement here. You can do this with super glue. You can do this with water-based cement. You can use any variety of cements for this. But you want to have something that's kind of help glue it down.
I always thought Bruce played the glue, not me.
Now when you're dealing with this, basically you really want to put a bunch of wraps of thread around this. You know, so I'm kind of going around the base of these eyes. I'm going to take these and I'm going to go around here this way and go around here this way. And remember, this thing is going to go upside down when you put it in the water. So it's not going to it's not going to ride this way in the water. It's actually going to, the eyes are going to make it turn upside down and ride the other way in the water.
That'll help prevent it from catching on the bottom and weeds and logs.
And it's a great pattern. What's nice about this pattern is you can take this pattern and you can change it quite a bit. You can use it for bass. You can change some of the colors a little bit. You know, you're using the idea. We're going to put a brown marabou tail on this. So I'm going to take a clump of marabou out here and I'm going to chop it off here, even it up the ends. What I want to do is I want to match it up with the right behind the eye, the set of eyes here, and we'll tie it in pretty good. Come all the way back to the back.
And this keeps it from getting a big lump in the body.
Yeah, otherwise you're going to get a pretty nasty little lump in the body and it's going to look pretty ugly.
On this variation, when it's going upside down, you're tying in the brown first because that will basically be the top of the fly and the yellow is going to be the belly of the fly.
No, on this one I'm actually going to have a little yellow on each side. So it's not really going to matter on that. I'm going to take a little dab of yellow here. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a chunk of yellow baraboo here, and I'm going to tie one chunk in on each side of the brown marabou. And I'll squeeze it here so I can grab a hold of it a little bit. Marabou's kind of funny stuff here. This is not what I would call a neat and tidy fly. We'll take another batch of marabou, cut it off here, and put it in on this side. Yeah, we're going to put some flash in on this fly. What I'm going to use is I'm going to use some copper colored crystal flash.
It's definitely a nice mix of the brown and yellow.
Yeah, it's good stuff. You can use different colors. One nice variation is to use peacock colored. That gives it a really neat color.
This one here.
Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the crystal flash and I'm going to tie it in on the top, which actually is going to turn out being on the bottom really because it's going to go upside down anyways. Okay, next thing we're going to do with this fly is we're going to get a piece of brown chenille, and I'm get this stuff all squared away, ready to go. I pull a little fuzz off so it's a little easier to tie it in. tie it in back here, back where the marabou is tied in. Now we need a hackle. Ugly, disgusting looking stuff like this is great for these type of flies. Good stuff to use for here. So we'll tie this in. I'm going to tie it in pretty tightly along this side here so it doesn't go anywhere. Now one of the things that you can do with this fly, and this helps with tying wet flies, you're not really worried about weight, so you can take and put some glue in underneath the fly just before you wrap stuff. Okay, we're going to put the legs in next. We've got round, medium size, round, I guess you would call this hot yellow really. I'm going to get a set of 2 of these. Just stick my scissors in here and just pull it off. And I'll set those on top of the hook here. And we'll hold this in here and we'll tie it in on the top here. Come forward and behind it here. You can kind of hold these things up. Work around them here. Rubber legs are a lot of fun to work with.
And the nice thing about rubber legs, they have motion in the water. Even they have motion, they're dead drifting, but if you're pumping the fly, twitching it, they'll kind of kick in and out. As you pull back, they'll fold. As you release, they drop. It does that. And especially these dumbbell eyes in combination, kind of getting this and this. It's kind of doing the chicken, man.
So we'll put one more set of these rubber legs in here. So we'll do the same thing we did with the first set. Nice and tightly. This is like use a little bit of a figure 8 type of a motion here. From the front to the back and the back to the front. And then we'll take the thread, move it all the way to the front here.
One thing you did, you have double legs, but you haven't separated them yet, which is actually definitely real helpful when you're wrapping materials through there. There's less things to tangle up on.
It definitely makes it much easier to deal with that sort of thing. Wrap the chenille, take one wrap behind the hackle here, and I'll make the rest of the wraps towards the front. And you can take it, make it even more durable. If you put a little bit of cement, a really, really strong cement, quite often I'll even take and mix up some epoxy and put it just before I wrap.
Yeah,
it makes a pretty nice figure 8 underneath here and around there, and then bring it up to the front. We'll tie it off just like that. Clip it. And so that it doesn't get away on us. A few wraps here. And we'll take the hackle. We're not going to put a lot of wraps of hackle on this. We're just going to put a few. But it gives it a great deal of motion. This thing really does breathe in the water.
This will actually add a little bit of durability by using a copper, rib of copper wire just to kind of reinforce the hackle, since that's the weak link on the fly.
And everybody has their druthers. Some people like tying off the hackle behind the eyes. Some people like tying it in the front. I'm not really sure it makes that much of a difference myself. This fly is so ugly anyways that I'm not too sure it. Sometimes I think it just scares the fish or pisses them off. And
It's not going to get a date no matter what hairdo it has.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for this fly. It doesn't matter at all. So we'll make some wraps here in the front. We need to do a whip finish. What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to show you how to do a hand whip finish just for the heck of it. You take your thread, make a half hitch, come underneath here, and you can just take and twist it around like this. I normally don't do this with very thin thread, and usually actually I do use a whip finisher, but in a pinch you can do a hand whip finish. Now we'll take and make this look a little bit prettier. We're going to take these legs and separate them. Up to you whether you really want to take this thing and even them up. I'll kind of even them up a little bit here. Hold them together here and they'll give you an idea of exactly how long they are. You can trim them up there. And we have a pretty ugly looking beast.
Definitely a buggy little critter that catches fish. I think that brown-yellow combination definitely triggers territoriality in brown trout. I mean, it's the same colors they are, and that's a great fall brown trout fly. In fact, that's where it was originally tied, is when Jimmy tied it on the Bighorn River on a fall cast and blast trip over there. Do you ever use different rubber legs on it, different colors or different patterns? Or
sometimes this is a great fly to actually change into a bass fly. I mean, it would work for bass the way it is, but you could use some other different colored legs. Like if I wanted to use these, speckled legs are great. You can get these things in a variety of different colors, and when you add this to the speckled hackle, basically what a grizzly hackle is kind of a speckled color, you really get some pretty interesting shades of color in the fly.
Fall, and it's probably get out fishing, throw that some brown trout, you know. Nice looking bug, and only somebody that survived Jack Dennis for that many years, longer than I have, could probably tie something like this.